You're promoting the wrong people, and you know it. There is a moment most leaders recognize, even if they never quite say it out loud. Someone gets promoted, and on paper, it makes perfect sense. Strong performance, reliable delivery, trusted by the team, and often the person who steps in when things go wrong. They have earned the opportunity. 6 months later, something feels different. The team is quieter. Standards have not collapsed, but they are no longer as sharp. Conversations feel more transactional, and the energy that once carried the team forward has softened. Nothing has gone dramatically wrong, but something no longer works the way it once did. I have seen this pattern play out across hotels, restaurants, and corporate teams more times than I can count. The conclusion is rarely spoken directly, but it is usually understood. We promoted performance when what we actually needed was potential. The mistake we keep making. In hospitality, this mistake is almost built into the system. We operate in fast-moving environments where delivery matters, and the people who consistently deliver become indispensable. They are visible, dependable, and often central to the operation running smoothly. Trust in them builds quickly because they solve problems and keep things moving. So when a leadership opportunity appears, the decision feels straightforward. The safest choice is to promote the person who is already proving themselves every day. It feels logical, fair, and low risk. The challenge is that performance and potential are not the same thing. Performance tells you what someone can do today in a role they already understand. Potential is a judgment about what they could do tomorrow in a role they have never done before. These are fundamentally different assessments, yet in practice, they are often treated as if they are one and the same. Research has consistently highlighted the so-called performance potential paradox. High performance may open the door, but it does not guarantee success at the next level. This is where many organizations begin to drift, not through poor intent, but through familiar decision-making habits. What potential actually looks like. When you take the time to observe more closely, potential becomes easier to recognize. It is not about titles or visibility. It is about patterns of behavior that consistently appear, particularly when conditions are less than ideal. The first pattern is how someone responds to complexity. In hospitality, not everything follows a script. There are moments when the operation becomes unpredictable and the pressure rises quickly. The individuals who demonstrate potential are often those who remain composed in these situations. They create space to think, step back to understand the bigger picture, and respond with intention rather than reacting instinctively. The second pattern is how someone approaches growth. Future leaders tend to show a different relationship with learning. They actively seek feedback, not because they are told to, but because they want to improve. They take on challenges that stretch them and show curiosity beyond the boundaries of their current role. They are often observing, asking questions, and quietly building capability over time. These behaviors are easy to overlook because they are not always loud, but they are highly predictive of long-term development. The third pattern is the one we typically focus on first: capability. Communication, influencing skills, technical expertise, and the ability to engage others all matter. However, these are also areas that can be developed over time with support. When organizations place too much weight on what is already visible, they risk overlooking the underlying attributes that signal future success. Where it goes wrong in real life. While the theory is straightforward, the reality is shaped by pressure, pace, and the need to make decisions quickly. This is where judgment becomes more difficult. One of the most common challenges is the tendency to reward reliability over readiness. The individual who consistently delivers feels like the safest option, particularly in an environment where stability is valued. However, leadership is not simply about maintaining what exists. It requires the ability to adapt, influence, and guide others through change. Another challenge is the way confidence is often interpreted as capability. Some individuals present strongly and project certainty, which can be reassuring in fast-paced environments. Others are more reflective and measured, and may not immediately stand out in the same way. Over time, it becomes clear that presence alone is not always the strongest indicator of leadership potential. The pace of decision-making also plays a significant role. Roles need to be filled, and the operation cannot pause while a perfect assessment takes place. As a result, decisions are often made based on what is most visible rather than what is most meaningful. This is not a failure of leadership, but a reflection of the environment in which those decisions are made. What strong organizations do differently. The organizations that navigate this well are not necessarily more complex in their approach. They are simply more deliberate in their decisions about people. They create just enough space to ask better questions and consider a broader range of signals. They define potential with clarity. They take the time to understand what future leadership looks like for their organization. This is not a generic definition, but one that reflects their strategy and direction. Whether the focus is on broader leadership capability, cross-functional thinking, or resilience in complex environments, potential is defined with intention. They look beyond performance alone. Performance data remains important, but it is not the sole factor. Strong organizations combine this with structured feedback, observation across different situations, and open conversations about ambition and motivation. This creates a more balanced and informed view of each individual. They recognize that potential evolves over time. Potential is not fixed, and it should not be treated as such. Individuals develop at different paces, and circumstances change. The most effective organizations revisit their assessments regularly and invest in development rather than relying solely on identification. In a nutshell, we have all seen the impact of the wrong promotion, and it rarely comes down to a lack of ability. More often, it is the result of focusing on the wrong indicators at the point of decision. Performance tells you who is delivering today, and it remains an important measure. Potential tells you who can lead tomorrow, and it requires a different lens entirely. When these two concepts are treated as interchangeable, organizations risk repeating the same cycle. Strong operators step into leadership roles without the foundation to succeed, and future leaders are overlooked before they have a chance to develop. The shift is not complex, but it does require discipline. It asks leaders to slow down just enough to see people differently and to make decisions based not only on what is visible, but also on what is possible.